1975. Australia and the West Indies compete in an unofficial contest to determine who could claim the status of the best Test match side of the era. It was a battle involving some of the greatest fast bowlers on the global circuit. For Australia, there was the mustachioed Dennis Lillee and the shaggy-haired Jeff Thomson, both exemplifying the laid-back bogan Aussie character of the 1970s. Whilst in the Caribbean corner, their own young tearaways, Antiguan Andy the Hitman Roberts, and Jamaican Michael Whispering Death Holding. The series, however, did not live up to the hype and was a one-sided, crushing defeat in Australia's favour at 5 tests to 1. A dejected West Indies had to settle for the time being as runners-up, but hoped to instill a morale-boosting victory over India, who would tour the Caribbean in due course. The subcontinent side boasted a plethora of talented spin bowlers, including Bisham Bedi, B.S. Chandrasekhar and S. Venkatarakavan. Their usefulness in Caribbean conditions, however, usually suited to fast bouncy pitches, was an open question destined soon to be answered. India had arrived in the Caribbean on the back of their own controversial tour of New Zealand and an exhausting 60-hour flight across the Pacific. And sure enough, a weary India would subsequently be overwhelmed by an innings defeat in the first test at Barbados, felled by the master blaster West Indian batting great Isaac Vivian Alexander Richards. 1976 was to prove a stellar year for IVA, plundering 1,700 runs and 7 centuries in just 11 test matches. In the bowling department, spin, not pace, would prove to be the weapon of choice in the West Indian arsenal, in a curious attempt to battle India at their own game. West Indies captain Clive Lloyd, perhaps still shell-shocked as a result of their heavy defeat in Australia, changed tactics and no doubt wanted to avoid any lingering reminders of that series. A flat wicket in the second test at Trinidad, however, almost played into India's hands. In a drawn match, India were the better team on balance. A combination of rain and some crucial drop catches from the visitors ensured that victory would nonetheless prove elusive. Onward to the third test then, scheduled in Guyana on the Latin American continent, but in a rare case of administrative flexibility, a forecast of poor weather relocated the match back to the same location of the second test, Trinidad. Faced with another flat track, both sides reinforced their ranks with 3 spinners apiece. West Indies elected to bat first, hoping that India would be chasing last on a turning wicket. IVA spearheaded the innings with another 100, his third of the series. India nevertheless fought back, and their troika of spinners spun a web, restricting the Windies' first innings to 359 all out. The stage, though, was set for Whispering Death. Running in hard, particularly after the lunch break, Michael Holding dismantled India, taking 6 for 65. India's star batsman of the era, Sunil, the original Little Master Gavaskar, would note that Holding always seemed to relish bowling after lunch. India were 131 behind on first innings, and still half the allotted time remained in the match. An Alvin Kalicharan 100 hammered the advantage home, which left India chasing a daunting 403 on a turning pitch on days 4 and 5. Only once previous had a similar gargantuan score been chased successfully in Test cricket, by Bradman's Invincibles no less in the 1948 Ashes. The Little Master led from the top and scored his 400 at the venue in as many matches. In typical Gavaskar fashion, he would later say that the thought of winning never entered my mind, as he steadily built the Indian total. Lloyd, meanwhile, rotated his spinners, desperate for any breakthrough, and opted against taking the new ball until 29 overs after it was made available. The elegant batsmanship of Gundappa Viswanath marked his own century, and when he was finally out, with only an hour's play remaining in the match, India required just 65 runs with 7 wickets in hand. For the loss of just 1 further wicket, India completed their mammoth run chase with some overs to spare. Indian journalist K.N. Prabhu, who watched the finale alongside legendary writer C.L.R. James, declared it as an Indian victory with few parallels. Lloyd, however, was less than impressed. He gathered his spinners together, berating and belittling them, stating, "Gentlemen, I gave you 400 runs to bowl at, and you failed to bowl out the opposition. How many runs must I give you in future to make sure you get the wickets?" The defeat would have a profound effect on the psychology of West Indies cricket. Lloyd would henceforth prioritise the infamous pace battery, which would unleash salvos of bouncers onto opposition batters over the next decade. Unfortunately for India, they would receive such treatment in the very next match in Jamaica. By the time they had reached their second innings in the fourth and final test, 5 of their batsmen would be absent hurt, victims of West Indian GBH. Michael Holding would reason that despite not being an advocate for such tactics, it was 1-1 in the series, and we were under extreme public pressure to win. In the final analysis, India, bruised and battered, were defeated by 10 wickets and lost the series by 2-1. The die had been cast. A dynasty of West Indian pacers, Holding, Roberts, Croft, Garner, followed by Marshall, Walsh, Ambrose and Bishop, would ensure Caribbean cricketing dominance for the next 2 decades. India had been caught in the crosshairs of West Indian ire and awoke a sleeping giant. Wisden would note, the Indian team trudged along the tarmac towards their homebound aeroplane and resembled Napoleon's troops on the retreat from Moscow. Unlike Napoleon's Grande Armée, however, Indian cricket would not only survive, but soon thrive.